church in Pontiac. We hope that you have enjoyed these as much as we have enjoyed doing these. Again, just a few announcements for you. We will be doing this daily. We are also having church via YouTube and Facebook, so you can join us 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, and that'll be available at any time. You can worship at your convenience. Please remember your stewardship to all of our folks here. We want to continue doing the things that God has called us to do, and what we do as a church is more important now during these trying times, during these times of lockdown. There is much need in our community and in our congregation. And please remember your stewardship so that we can continue doing the things that God has called us to do. We are going to look today for a few moments, if you will, at Matthew 25, starting in verse 31 and going through verse 46. And when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep, on his right, but the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." And listen to what he says, the king. "For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you those on his left, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." Then they will also answer, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not do it to one of the least of these? You did not do it to me." And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. You see, the face of Jesus is everywhere. In these times, we as God's people are not called to be greedy. We are not called to hoard. We are not called to be selfish at any time, but especially in times like these. Our neighbor is ever amongst us, and that is the face of Jesus. When you see your neighbor who is hungry, or in prison, or naked, or clothed, we see many people in need, in fear, in anxiety. That's the face of Jesus, my friend. The face of Jesus is everywhere. You will not look upon a face of a human being that God does not love. And it is not a person who you can see the image of Christ in. I had a pastor friend of mine who had spoken of a time in his ministry when he was in an inner city. And many times the homeless would come looking for food, looking for shelter in their great need. And he had come up with a way of communicating with his secretary when these folks would come so as not to embarrass them. And his secretary would call or would go to him in person and say, "Pastor, Jesus is here." That's a wonderful way to look at things. Jesus is here. He is all around us. And I want you to understand something. Just as the parable of the Good Samaritan speaks about helping, we focus too much on the Samaritan instead of the man who was there to be helped. Jesus says more without saying something than we could say in volumes. He says, "A man," just a man. He was beaten, robbed, and thrown in a ditch, left naked to die. just a man. There's no way to know who this man was. We don't know if he's a Republican or Democrat. We don't know if he's rich or poor, if he's a Jew, if he's a Samaritan, if he's a Gentile. We don't know anything about the man other than his gender. And that, my friends, is our neighbor. And that is the face of Jesus. Just a person, just a man. Let us go out and see the face of Christ in our fellow man and help them, showing them and doing the work of Christ, being his hands in this day and this time. And I pray again that God would bless you and keep you and richly touch you.